How old are you and how much do you have in savings?
I am 23. My savings are probably the equivalent of 23,000 AUD.
And what do you do for work?
Nothing at the moment. I quit my job in the new year and have been traveling for 3.5 months. I used to manage a restaurant
How's the traveling going?
really well.
Favorite place so far?
Probably Vietnam or China.
And now you're in Sydney also traveling?
Yes.
Okay. Favorite thing about Sydney?
Probably just the vibe. It was the same in Melbourne, I would say. People just kind of feel friendly.
How's the cost of Sydney compared to Vietnam or China or everywhere else that you've been?
Cost of Sydney is the second worst after Iceland.
After Iceland?
Yes. All the places we've traveled to had much lower costs of living than Sydney, that is. Iceland has a greater cost of living.
And then I guess the conversion rate too, probably.
Yes, well, it fell. So conversion rate after the Trump debacle kind of tilted in Iceland's favor, which was nice. But to compare Sydney with the Asian countries, well, it's hard because the environment is also different. The comparison that would make the most sense would probably be to Shanghai or to Beijing, because those are more developed cities, and Sydney is more expensive than those two. Maybe as expensive as Shanghai. In terms of housing, like day-to-day things are more expensive here, I would say.
Okay. How did you get to the point in your life where you could travel so freely? And like, do you have tips on tricks on how to do that for people who might want to do the same?
In Iceland, it is very socially acceptable to live with your parents for a longer time. Generally, that is if you live in Reykjavik like I do. That is just because there isn't really another city in Iceland where you would want to move, and housing is very expensive. So I was fortunate. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to have pretty well-off parents, in that I've never had to pay for housing.
It does make it easier.
Yeah, it really does. Never realistically had to pay for food unless like I specifically wanted it. Wages in Iceland also are very good, relatively, and so me being able to save most of my income goes a really long way. Advice, if someone would want to travel, would be, the most important thing obviously is to have something that you can save. If your income doesn't cover or isn't able to be stretched into like a saving that would net you enough to travel in like a year or two, I would probably not recommend it, just because then you are, in my opinion, restricting yourself unnecessarily. And then I would probably rather this is also difficult because I can't just tell people to go get better jobs.
No, don't say that.
But then I would rather than wait until you are more financially capable. Traveling is really nice and it opens your eyes to a lot of different things. But I would not, in my pragmatic view,
Do it unless you're ready.
and also, if you have to quit your job like I did, do it unless you have a cushion then when you return, because the job market is also really difficult right now. Traveling is absolutely something that I would recommend to strive for, but I would not then say you should drop everything, travel, and then have nothing to
Make sure you can do it comfortably.
Yes.